offended by some things. I'm offended by chewing gum. I'm offended by backwards-pointing baseball hats. But I don't try to get a version of the blasphemy law passed to prevent people chewing gum or reversing their cap. So what if I'm offended? So what if my feelings are hurt? Does that give me the right to prevent others from expressing their opinions?
An Indonesian man is waiting to hear if he'll face a jail term for professing his atheism online. West Sumatran civil servant Alexander An was arrested earlier this year for posting on Facebook, quote, "There is no God." Prosecutors in the case have demanded a prison sentence of 3.5 years, and the verdict is expected later on Thursday. Let's get more on this and bring in Andy Bayuni. He's the chief editor from the Jakarta Post. Your newspaper has been covering the story. What do you expect us to hear from that verdict?
Well, I think it's going to be a guilty verdict. We just don't know how many years he will get. And the question is whether the people who had protested for his, against him would also be satisfied with 3.5 years of jail. There have been pressures on the court to give him even a stronger punishment because they're angry at the fact that he was able to declare his atheism and actually use the Facebook to pronounce that God doesn't exist.
Right,
and he was actually engaging with other people in the Facebook.
And seeing that he declared his atheism, he was charged with blasphemy, however. Can you explain that?
Yes, it's not so much that he professed the atheism, but he was engaging in a debate, an intellectual debate in the Facebook with other people, and then where he challenged those people, those Muslims, to prove that Islam does exist, that God does exist. And this was used in court against him under the blasphemy law, that he was insulting a major religion in Indonesia, and that's the way the law is in Indonesia.
The issue of free expression is clearly hugely important, and it's most important for people who live under Sharia law, Islamic laws in the Middle East, North Africa and Asia. There are countless examples of this. The Kuwaiti parliament has just recently voted in favor of a legal amendment to make blasphemy punishable by death after the arrest of a young man who tweeted on Muhammad, and it was deemed to be blasphemous. You have, I know, you must know of this case of a 23-year-old Hamza Kashgari in Saudi Arabia who faces the death penalty potentially for blasphemy, for tweeting an imaginary conversation with Muhammad, and also saying that women in Saudi Arabia cannot possibly go to hell because they already live in it. In April, 2 young Tunisians, and very often these are young people, 2 young Tunisians, one in absentia, was given a 7-year prison sentence for posting cartoons of Muhammad on Facebook.
Sectarian violence has continued in Pakistan, where crowds ransacked and torched a Christian neighborhood in the eastern city of Lahore. The unrest erupted Friday night after a Christian man was accused of committing blasphemy, a crime punishable by death in the country. Police took the man into custody in an attempt to pacify the mob. Hundreds of Christian families fled the area overnight, fearing for their safety.
Religious extremists also use blasphemy laws to discriminate against religious minorities, and this brings me to the third part of the presentation. Experts have described blasphemy laws in some countries as being a form of legalized discrimination. Persons targeted include members of the majority religious group who are seen to be questioning religious doctrine or failing to adhere to the state-sanctioned interpretations of religious doctrine. They include members of minority groups such as Christians, or of sects considered deviant or heretical by governments in power. The breakdown of persons charged with blasphemy in Pakistan highlights the discriminatory nature of these laws. Ahmadiyya and Christians make up less than 2% of Pakistan's population, yet almost 50% of the more than 900 prosecutions for blasphemy in the past 2 decades have been against Christians and Ahmadiyya.
Dadu, southern Pakistan, just a few months ago. A man is caught burning papers to keep warm. Someone says they include pages of the Quran, an act of blasphemy. It's unproved, and police say he may have mental health problems. But an angry mob gathers and stone the man to death. Then burn the body. Police arrest some of the killers, but a local religious leader defends the violence. In Pakistan, blasphemy is a crime which can be punishable by death or life in prison. But we've discovered that many of the people accused of blasphemy are in fact later found to be innocent. And instead of changing or repealing the law, it's being increasingly used in a climate of growing extremism.
Elizabeth Sabadich-Wolf, welcome to you.
Thanks very much for having me on your show, Michael.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, for the uninitiated, for those who may have forgotten or don't know the story, what happened to you in Austria?
In Austria, I was prosecuted for speaking my mind about the marriage of Muhammad to his child bride Aisha, and the Austrian authorities didn't appreciate what I said and charged me first with hate speech and then later changed the charges to denigration of religious teachings of a legally recognized religion in Austria. I was then found guilty on the second charge and fined 480 euros. The case is currently pending at the European Court for Human Rights.
Now, from what I've read of what you said, you merely reiterated what is described as being what happened in the life of Muhammad. You barely even commented on it.
It's known to happen all over the world. A religious statue appears to cry. Devout Catholics flock to it, believing it to be a miracle. From weeping Mary statues in California to a tearful Jesus in Israel. Usually it's just a matter of personal faith. But now one man in Mumbai is facing jail time for debunking what was thought to be a similar miracle. In March, water began dripping down a statue of Jesus on the cross at Our Lady of Velankani in Mumbai. Parishioners collected the so-called holy water. Others drank it, hoping it would cure ailments. But rationalist and atheist Sanal Edamaruku investigated and said it was actually sewage water percolating through the statue because of a leaky water pipe.
The priest stopped to pray for a while for this water to be distributed. And he has been giving this water, the assistant priest has been distributing this water and brought to me also. People were given in a spoonful on their palm and they were just licking it without knowing what it was.
Now he's being charged with blasphemy under Section 295A of the Indian Penal Code, which accuses him of, quote, deliberately hurting religious feelings and attempting malicious acts intended to outrage the religious sentiments.